美国名嘴咆哮美国民众。
第一场。
When China and India and the rest of Asia woke up. Why did this happen? I'm here to address this great mystery. Now, what do I mean when I say the West chose to go to sleep? Here I'm referring to the failure of the...
第二场。
为什么呢？因为中国越来越好，越来越多的外国人想来到中国，哪儿好人去哪儿，这很简单。所以现在中国好，全世界的人嗡嗡想进中国。第二，一个老外，他永远丢不了他老外身份，他老外的味道，对吧？但是时间长了，如果他认真，他可以好好学到中国话，学到中国的规矩，了解中国的历史。那样的话，他就跟我似的。但是真的就是对中国有感情，在自己心里。
第三场。
Now, is it remarkable? In some senses, yes, of course it is. But we go back to this point, that China has been a dominant economic power through human history. It comes because of the Central Plain, which I was walking right across, between the Yellow River and the Yangtze River. It's an immensely fertile plain. It's surrounded by hills which protect it from invaders. So not surprisingly, it was always going to be a place where civilization would flourish. It was so fertile that farmers could actually get 2 crops per year. One crop that they could use to feed their family, another crop that they could trade. There lies the prosperity that you see. That passion for education, of course, continues with young people beyond school age. It goes into universities. 2/3 of the population of overseas population of universities around the world.
第四场。
100倍。那么在那个时候，我们也没有像西方那样搞殖民、搞侵略，所以中国的文化基因是不一样的。中国人真是一种崇尚和平的文化。你这个问题有点美国人的逻辑，那就你赢我输，或者我赢你输。那么中国觉得这完全可以这个合作共赢，或者叫赢赢双。
第五场。
Second-hand, 30-year-old train, second-hand and substandard. Right. Well, you feel very strongly, obviously, and it's something wherever we go in the country, we're hearing these complaints about our transport structure. Isabel Oakeshott.
Well, totally not. I mean, as a hard-pressed commuter who suffers daily on substandard train services, that absolutely can't be right. And I was looking into this earlier and just wondering, for the sake of argument, how the Chinese do these things. And I noticed that they were able to build a whole new station in the space of 9 hours by flooding it with thousands of workers. We should be much more imaginative about getting infrastructure in quickly instead of condemning people to being isolated in remote areas.
Well, and I shared a taxi coming here, and the commentary I can tell you in the taxi was that the roads looked better than the area where we were living in England. I'm delighted to hear it, but I have to say to you, it was much better than in Buckinghamshire. But everybody in their own area complains. And the truth is, our road repairs have been very, very bad, and it's deteriorating. And yes, austerity has prevented expenditure on all sorts of things that we could need to spend money on. But equally, if we cannot...
第六场。
6,000 miles a year. It beggars belief, and it's not like the terrain is easy. Here, though, there ain't no mountain high enough. And the...
第七场。
Entire cities from scratch. Moved the majority of their huge population from poverty to the middle class, and mostly cornered the market in 5G and pharmaceuticals. Oh, and they bought Africa. Their new Silk Road initiative is the biggest infrastructure project in history, indebting not just that continent, but large parts of Asia, Europe, and the Middle East to the people who built their roads, bridges, and ports. If you want to go anywhere in the world these days, you better have a yen for travel. Yen for travel. Oh, stop it. In China alone, they have 40,000 kilometers of high-speed rail. America has none. Our fastest train is the train that goes around the zoo. China sees a problem, and they fix it. They build a dam. We debate what to rename it. That's why their airports look like this, and ours look like this.
Of history. Nobody's looking at the past to look at the future, because people are imagining that the world of today is going to be the world in 30 years, and that's not the case. Here's the United States. They combine the nominal GDP with the PPP, right? But look at China here. Here's China in the green, right? It's like, yo, man, here we are. Here's China going this way, and by all accounts, the U.S. is going this way. And China is going this way. And this is big. This is big because look at China here. This is when I was your age, sitting in classes, taking my first sociology class, here was China. And there was the United States. China was barely getting off the ground. And just look, man, look at that. Look at, in a short period of time, in nothing, in 20 years, here. And if you're not thinking about China, if you're thinking about the U.S., if you're thinking about your future and you're not thinking about China, and you're not paying attention to what's going on with the dragon, you're missing out. You are missing something.
第8场
Part of dance parties, a bit of a costume party, and sometimes a birthday party for a bunch of 12-year-old boys. But there's a palpable joy here as China embraces new technologies and the possibilities that it creates. But to put that in context, if you think about it, not that long ago, China fell way behind the rest of the world in terms of innovation. Think about it. They barely had a science program, limited internet access, and while they could manufacture a lot of stuff, they were not really good at inventing it. But having been here, we all know now, times they haven't changed. You have an ambitious government program that is leapfrogging China to the forefront of scientific research. You have the internet age exploding here, with China inventing new technologies that are very much their own. And entrepreneurs and inventors are creating products so quickly, they don't even have time to patent them before they hit the market. So I can tell you, China used to make other people's...
第9场
很早以前就反对我来中国，是我妈妈当初让我学习中文，但她就是很反对，还觉得学中文干嘛呀？去中国学干嘛呀？反正以后要回俄罗斯发展的，凭什么？我越来中国，我不只要来上学，我还要留在这里，我要继续努力争取中国绿卡，这是我的梦想。然后我们俩就谈崩了，好久没联系了，大概有7年吧。最近表姐说，她又问我现在怎么样，还留在中国吗？不懂中国有什么好？我要大声对那个人说，当然，请您睁开双眼，好好看看世界吧，爸爸，看看中国现在发展的多快，看看中国多厉害。我现在不只是在这里毕业了。
第10场
You better have a yen for travel. China alone, they have 40,000 kilometers of high-speed rail. America has none. Our fastest train is the train that goes around the zoo in this impacted colon of a country. China sees a problem, and they fix it. They build a dam. We debate what to rename it. That's why their airports look like this, and ours look like this. 2 bus lines through environmental review. In Boston, took 16 years. 57-story skyscraper in 19 days. The San Yuan Bridge in...
第11场
还挺安全的，挺安全的呀。街口都有好几个摄像头。
There's not a lot of aggression in China.
中国不能公开持有枪支弹药。
Every time you want to take a train in China, you have to pass a security check.
像地铁这方面可能还要加强一下。
People are very kind and you can ask them anything. Maybe they will not speak the...
第12场
Some are even wealthy. So what a fantastic story for mankind. And what a good lesson for other countries.
In the last 10 years, the U.S. has been building 500-mile stretch of high-speed rail between San Francisco and Los Angeles. It was supposed to be finished by 2017. And many people think the answer is never going to be finished. So in those 10 years, how much high-speed rail did China lay down that's working today? I guess 16,000. And before the 500 miles is finished in U.S., how much more will be in China? Another 16,000 at least.
So in my book, Destined for War, I have in the first chapter called The Rise of China. And I give a short version of a quiz that I give to my students at Harvard. And the question for the heading is called, When Could China Become Number One? And students guess 2030, 2040, and then I show them a second chart which says already. China is already number one. So not only rival the U.S., but surpass the U.S., including as the largest economy in the world, measured by the best yardstick for
第13场
than there was in the mid-90s. Maybe not where we'd all like to be, but it's come an extraordinary distance. Also, China at that time was, at least from our point of view, was focused mainly in China. Now China plays a leadership position for the world in many different areas, and so it's like a different country. If you were to come in when I did and you went to sleep for the 25 years and you were parachuted back in, it would be unrecognizable.
As if you were a supply chain Rip Van Winkle.
That's right. That's right.
Well, let's plunge into talking about Apple's business in China, Tim. Perhaps give everybody a quick overview of the many things that Apple does here.
Yeah, it's extraordinarily. China has extraordinary skills, and so what probably the part that is the most unknown is there's almost 2 million application developers in China that write apps for the iOS App Store. And these are some of the most innovative...
第14场
For any of these things. But when it comes to tax subsidies for private jets, we've got the money for that. When it comes to the endless appropriation towards more and more military spending, when we aren't even technically in growing elements of war, according to some people, we have money for that. But we don't have money to feed our own kids. We don't have money to educate people. We don't have money to provide health care. But we have money for...
第15场
第二，在中国很安全。你知道中国人很少说吃饭后5步走，但是我每天跟夫人每次吃饭我们到外面走，早上可能半小时，中午10分钟，晚上可能1个小时，因为这边很美也很热闹。你看全世界现在大家都怕那个疫情，现在除了中国以外，其他国家人家都吓死了，不敢出门。除了美国人以外，他们不懂了，他们还是出门也不戴口罩。但是在中国，你看现在没人管，没人着急，没有人担心，因为中国政府解决了这个问题。为什么？今年2020年有精准的那个脱贫，也有精准看病的，因为有精准政府。哇！
Technology in this case, China is more powerful. 他的意思是，有的地方是中国比较强，有的地方是印度比较强。China is officially known as the Republic of China. Its army stands on the third rank in power-wise. China is also called as country of world. Steel, many things come from China. 1950, India and China same. Now China is more powerful. India is starting as work on increasing the GDP. In 2015, the GDP will be increased 1.7%. In the world first, we are increasing our GDP step to step. We are future of Indian region.
第16场
This much we know. This is a country so vast, a people with lives so varied, and a history so rich and complex that no visitor can fully grasp it. Still, at these games, no advanced degree in international relations was required to appreciate the genuine warmth of the Chinese people, the honest pride in their country, and how seriously Chinese citizens, famous Olympians to everyday men and women, took this chance to show themselves to the world. All Olympics are important to the host city. These games were monumentally important to the host nation, which happens to be home to 1/5 of humanity. All that said, just as these Olympics were significant politically, they were also very significant competitively.
第17场
It's okay. In China, it's nice. Yeah. So the current situation is very good. I think the government is doing a really good job here.
I think they were much quicker to react and to do testing. It's much better here, and tracking is much better.
I think there's no place I'd be happier right now, actually.
Yeah.
China handled it so well. I look at the rest of the world, I'm so thankful. I wouldn't have a job if I was at home.
Yeah,
so,
same.
Yeah.
Every day I'm just more thankful that I stayed in China and didn't go back home. The UK is a mess right now.
I think being able to tell, for people to listen and stay at home and follow rules, I think that's what makes the control here easier.
And the fact that everybody just banded together. So it wasn't people with an individual mindset thinking, oh, I don't want to follow the rules, I don't think it's fair.
I don't think they would listen to me.
In Germany, it's sometimes the case that the people, they discuss half a year since they started to use a mask. Wearing mask would be definitely very important in Germany. But at the moment, I think they are really eager to fight against the virus, yeah, and also looking right